Chai at the Womensfront, the internationalist podcast from the heart of the revolution. Hello everybody and welcome back to Chai at the Womensfront. Today in our episode we are with a very nice young woman from YPJ International. Her name is Berçem. And today we want to talk about what the life is like in YPJ International, to get like a kind of a look behind the scenes, and kind of also get a bit to know the story of our friend Berçem, how she got there, what she's experienced. So we think this is kind of a interesting topic because there's a lot of young women out there who are like interested in YPJ, they heard about it, but maybe have not so much of an idea what it's like actually inside of YPJ. So today we want to give you an insight. And by the way, like in English you would say YPJ, but here everybody just says YPJ. So to take this confusion away. Okay, then we would start right away. Oh, also, Vian is also with us. Vian, who joined us for the second season of the podcast. So we're three friends here. And we will start as usual with the introduction of our guest. So first of all, Berçem, we would like to know where are you from and why did you join YPJ?
Okay, hello everybody. I give a warm welcoming also to this nice program. My name is Berçem Slava. Yes, as friends say, I'm member of YPJ International. I'm from Czech Republic. I was born in Czech Republic, and yes, now I'm here in Rojava and member of YPG or YPJ. For the question why I joined or how I get here, how I got to join YPJ. So actually, as an internationalist, we came with a group of people to Rojava, with the intention already, to not only to joining YPJ, but to take part in Rojava revolution. So which already has been since 10 years, taking part here in Rojava. So yes, I mean in Rojava here there's as a revolutionary process we would say it's like there's a lot of tasks, there's a lot of things to do, and there's a lot of different work and different activities which also as international friends we can take part. And of course for me and I think for other friends also who join YPJ, it's first of all it can be say like this, it's actually a big honor to join let's say a women army or the YPJ, because of its history, because of its characteristic. So actually of course there's a big topic as a woman to take part in the let's say in the women's army, on the army itself, because as we know in probably different contexts, or as we know armies in different contexts connecting to the states. Of course, it's completely different to say if we talk about YPJ, because of course it's not army which is connected to the state, and so it's ideology. It's not connected to states. It's defense forces. It's people's forces. It's women forces. So it's actually a self-organized, let's say, units which let's say organize themselves to be able to protect their people, protect their lands, protect their countries. So as a women, for sure, if we look to the history of patriarchal world which we are living, is also it's let's say the right for the self-defense of the right to defend our countries, to defend our people, to defend ourselves. It was actually somehow taken from our hands. So I think for all women who or empowered women, which I would say who have the opportunity to be this a part of this kind of units. As I said, it's a big honor. So it's one of the things which I would say that like why I joined. But again, I can repeat that it was like one of the tasks, no, which we can here in Rojava take on our shoulders also.
Okay. It's really interesting you made the differentiation between the state army and the self-defense unit. I think it's really important because sometimes I think it gets very confusing for people.
Yes, I think definitely. I mean, it's the essential difference, no? What we need to understand also, like to look, for example, the revolutionary processes, what's happening here, and itself, like the, let's say, like how, if we look also the history of the, like of the Kurdish people, of the the history of the Rojava revolution, and also of the ideological base, no, of like the things that. People felt the necessity to organize themselves as a, let's say, only women army to protect their lands, to protect their peoples, and of course it's already itself it have like a ideological base, like let's say ideological base to be only women army, no? So it's connected already with like this, let's say, like a liberating aspect of to. As a women be able to organize like under like let's say under among us, and to organize like without like also not male intervention. So it's of course it's a part which is it's a big step like in say in women liberation.
And it would be really interesting, I think, to know for the listeners, how does everyday life look like? Because talking and seeing all of these images and everything, but then like there is a lot of romanticization, a lot of different ideas, but how is everyday life? How does it usually go?
Okay, so yeah, I can also share this. I mean, like also from the experience, not to be also among the, let's say, like among the Kurdish women, also to live the daily life what friends from YPJ are living. I think is one is like one which I would say like a very important aspect. It's like let's say in few words to start somehow. Let's say it's like a highly organized communal life. No, I think this is also really important aspect of it. That actually, which I wanted to say also in the beginning in the introduction. It's like this kind of like for the principles also, and for the like aims. What does it to me? What does it mean to be like part of YPJ? It's like this in those ideological bases, in those bases of struggle. So we find definitely like the common struggle. So that's why we also take part. No, like we as internationalists, of course. Find ourselves in this revolution, no, on like with the principles, with the ideological base. So it's really important for the like with this women liberation aspect, with this like defending clank. It's something which we can really connect to it. So it's not like some let's say like a random thing that you go to some like other state army and like take part. No, so it's some like actually. Because we already came like internationalists, no, like to see this revolution not only like a Kurdish revolution, like have this really like internationalist aspect in the way of like which kind of ideologies is behind, like what we fighting for, what we want to build, how we want to organize, no. So that's why we as a people from different country, as a like YPJ International, we already feel somehow like very identified with that, no, because it's like it's not only like local values, it's really, let's say in like some kind of like international values, no. Also have this kind of like self-organized like units which can like live under some kind of like liberating ideologies also. And so to speak more about the daily life, yeah, I was already starting saying like it's like highly, like, of course there's a, like, it's a military structure, no? So like it's, that's why I say like highly organized, it has some structure, no, of living, of like daily life, of daily organizing, of like everything is organized, no? So it's actually, it's not only about being military, but it's about like how to be actually this, for example, here, for me, in the beginning, some way, I would say it would be hard to use even the military word. Before I knew YPJ, for example, I had it really like wrongly connected also to this, let's say, to this, like, I had it like rejection to it, because it was always like a soldier or something like this. Now I know the Kurdish word, so it's a bit different for me, but anyhow, I say soldier, it sounds really bad for me, so it's like we would say fighter also, no? But like, of course, it is military structure, so also the, let's say, the life, it's like the living and all the daily life, it's also under like a discipline, no? So it's like one of the aspects, for example, like let's say, I think one of the very important aspect, like as I start already, it was like the organization, so no, so like itself, the, let's say, the whole movement has like how to say, like organizational tools, I would say, like, which are very important for to organize life, to organize anything like social work, also military work. So yeah, we have like these tools which we, for example, call tekmil, which is really like, it's like this kind of daily life organization. So it's like a small meeting, let's say, every day, which in small, let's say, how to say, group or team which you living, or tahim, it's like a group of the people which you living, that you reflect on the day. You can give a critique, you can give a self-criticism. So you, every day, actually, you have this feedback, like how, for example, how your day passed, like where was the shortcoming, how you could improve. So there is a like really, let's say, very big like instinct of self-reflecting, which is really important, no? Like, I think it's like the base of, like, for me, one of the things which I found really, like, in the beginning also when I came, been already 4 years in Rojava, so like this like really insist of like let's say of like to build like this revolutionary personality. So it's something which like, and so the tekmil, it's actually also really help to have this communal life. So do you have actually like the let's say the opportunity to reflect not only about your behavior, not only about your life, but also about the life of the friends around, like about like, of course, and everything. It's let's say, for example, then you have bigger meetings. So it's as also the social structure which Rojava. Now I'm speaking more about like this kind of military aspect, but also this system, let's say the system of meetings or tekmils and big meetings. It's always, let's say, organized from small cell to going bigger cell, like to bigger structure. So this kind of repeat, and it helps like organize like the daily life in many ways. And yes, but so I don't know if you have other question for what you could add to it.
Yeah, well, you mentioned like the part of ideology, which I think is really interesting, because so me and Vian, when we were like discussing before this episode, when we were talking about the YPJ, the first thing that comes into our minds, and also like when we first got to know YPJ, like back, like still when we were in our home countries, was like knowing YPJ from the pictures. So there was this phase, especially like when there was like the war of Kobane, that YPJ suddenly appeared everywhere, and like there were like all these pictures of like women with guns, and you know, that it was this whole big thing. So yeah, that's also kind of what the revolution of Rojava really got like known by, with like the pictures of YPJ. But then we were discussing, yani, there must be so much more to it than only this. Yani, we're like feeling this kind of a superficial approach if we only look at like these pictures that are like leading leading into a certain superficial direction. So like what is like behind these pictures, like a bit more like, the deepness, or like the struggle of the women in YPJ, because I mean, it's still the reality of war. It's like a heavy topic, so maybe you can open up this a bit.
For sure. I mean, like I can say also about like the daily life, and like also like maybe like the difficulties or the things which can be like let's say giving us some obstacles, or like the difficulties are so like in the structures. So let's say like I think the general approach, I think it's as I said, like it's really to also like educate it, no, like mostly, for example, if you already mentioned like the war reality, and a lot of like also young women joining YPJ, and like from which kind of let's say background they are coming, no, also like growing up like in the war, and like, or also like before the revolution, let's say like how the role of the women in society, or the role of the like the young women also was really, let's say like more oppressed somehow, or like the opportunity to also like, let's say, studies, and like have like even many times also read and write. It wasn't so much accessible to the women, no. So it's something which is really important to consider, like to talk about those things. So like the like so which is also, of course, like, for example, if we speak about the ideology, like affects like somehow like the daily life and the personality of everybody, no. So but I think there's a like a general approach from the YPJ, let's say, like to always have this like this education really in the front, no. So usually also in the daily life, like more and more like friends who are the member of YPJ are like seeing a daily education, ideological education, military education, discussions, like so topics, no, like for example connected to ideology, and also like specialization also. So it's actually the life. It's like, let's say, it's always kind of like insisting to that also. Like the young women and everybody who take part in YPJ can like in this way also grow and learn things, and like have a more like actually like, of course, to get to more, for example, get deeper in the ideology of Reve Rapport also, no, of Abdou Al-Jan, which like actually it's let's say like the base, the ideologic base of all the movement, and also of the like YPJ. But of course it's something which is let's say it doesn't come from one day from the other, I would say, no. It's like, I think it's definitely one of the difficult things, but we could with the same thing we could speak about the society, or because we shouldn't also disconnect somehow like the young women that did something, oh, they are military, they are not such. It's also the society, no, like it's also the women who like say like choose for themselves to for example to join and to be part of the of YPJ. And of course like the I think the first like, let's say, the joining, it's more and somehow, let's say, in the like this maybe also emotional way, in the way of like my country's in the world, like I need to defend your no, like my culture, my language, my people. So like this kind of duty, of course, like to feel as a woman also like the opportunity to join. But then like so coming to YPJ, I think in the beginning also this like ideological base, like how, like why we need like as a women, for example, defend the country, what's mean to be like a woman, like what's mean patriarchy, what's mean like oppression, what's mean hegemony, what's like mean what is the like what's capitalism, what's socialism, all these things. So for example, as internationalists, we already come with this kind of like, let's say, like a deeper ideological base, because our we had already interest to come to Rojava, and we were joining because of our ideology. We find it like as I say, like a common aims in it. So we decide also, we felt it like our also revolution. But as I said, like the condition which, for example, the young friends in Rojava many times joining, it's such a difference. So also, let's say how to grow up, it's also step by step. It's the same with the society. We speak about like the democratic confederalism, which is like, for example, like the, let's say, like the base of this revolution, and something which is really important, like this new, like say, a progressive system which is not state. For me, for example, it was a big motivation. Like for me, before then I come to Rojava, I was like, I would never, like before I know like about Rojava and what's happening in this region, I many times was like, maybe I will be not able to live out of the state system. No, it was something when like we are so struggle and we say like, okay, we want to organize, we want to build our alternative, but we don't have like something in our hands. We always live in this like all omnipresent like a big state. So for me, like to coming to Rojava, like, and to have like million peoples and like women and children and so many different like aspect organized about a structure which is like a very progressive structure, no, and like call it a democratic conference. It was like dream coming true, like ideologic, for me, ideologic dreams, no. But of course, it's something which is which need to be understand, which need to be put in the practice, which need to take experience, and like that it, so we cannot expect it in like maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years it will be perfect. So we cannot know. I think there's this like lot of also internationalists we come to Rojava with this like big dreams, and also maybe joining YPJ with like this big idealization also of a lot of things. So also these pictures and this like women like fighting, and maybe I would think that like all these like revolutionaries and like, you know, like having this base. But then of course the reality, it's in the way like it's a bit different in the way of that. What I think that we need to understand the processes. We cannot like think, oh, this is wrong, this is like, it shouldn't be like this, why it's not, for example, why the ideologic base is so less, or why it doesn't work, like the communes are not working perfect. But we have to understand all this process. So I don't know if I answer your question in the way of
Yes, for sure. I was just gonna ask, like, in your process of like coming here and like joining YPJ, was there anything that you maybe didn't expect? But I think you kind of already mentioned, like, I think a lot of people, when they come from outside, they come to Rojava, they have like this really ideal picture in their mind that like the democratic confederalism is fully working, and I don't know, the women's army is like without mistakes and everything goes perfectly and so on. And I think it's really important to like always have in mind that here it's a reality of war. It's a reality of people who have been growing up in like really difficult circumstances. If you think about the history, like with the regime, then Daesh also making a lot of influence on this region and so on. And then to understand that this makes a big influence also on the mentality of the people here. And just because the land has been liberated military, it doesn't mean that like suddenly our minds are liberated from every let's say capitalist or even fascist influence. No? I think that's really important to see that the revolution is like a struggle, and it has the aim to like liberate the society, especially in the sense of liberating the mentality. But that we should not like approach in a way that everything's perfect. Like, you know, there's like this when people say, oh, the revolution has happened, but like it's nothing that's ever like happening in one moment, or that's like finished or something like this, but it's like a steady process somehow.
And I think talking about processes and struggles, it would be really interesting if you want to share maybe a bit of your personal process or struggle connected with joining the YPJ.
Yeah, for sure. I can also speak about this. I think it's, as you mentioned, it's really important to have this kind of like vision on it, like that actually the revolution is starting up. It's starting in the moment when we liberated or the territory can be liberated, like was liberated, but in the moment when it's necessary to organize everything, then is the moment when actually the work in the revolution is starting. So it's like in all the aspect in their life, and one of this aspect which we talk about, it's self-defense, which is like one of the aspect of the revolution. But like us to speak about the revolutionary aspect, it's such a wide areas, it goes to everything. It go to society, go to culture, go to everything, go to like families, go to like daily life, go to like organize the cities, organize the health, the education, the ecology. So it's such a wide topic, let's say. And then about my personal processes, like of course it's very colorful and very different experience, but I think I could share also like I think especially in the beginning also like some difficulties, like also with this I think it's actually one of the, let's say, one of the topic. It's like I don't know, coming from also probably like this European mentality. Let's say this kind of like a culture shock, like in the way of like when I arrived to the moment when I start to really like understand it, so it can be like, for me it was somehow difficult in the way of like for example, I thought already, because I already have been have lived like in different culture, not only like let's say Central Europe cultures, but of course like this on the way of understanding a lot of things. Also I think this like Middle East, like the history, it's in culture of like think a lot of things and understanding the history, but for me was in some like in mostly it's more in daily life also. For example, how like a difficulty, I would say, like this kind of like daily interaction, like how this, I think it's still when I learn somehow like this kind of social also rules can be like from our social rules, like also for example one interesting things like this which I realize a lot here, like how we are, for example, in Europe affected by the liberalism, like we many times we, for example, like about this like individual freedom, for example, still I was already like considering myself like a communal person, and I was thinking like already that I can like I have already like this kind of individual approaches, or like this like a personal need egoism somehow I overcame, like because we were already living in some like reality which we like consider that this like value we should like kind of develop, like be communal. But of course like here I realized like how much maybe I have been really still like with this like individual, like how much, for example, strong individualism was in me, and it was something which also kind of like difficult somehow. I don't know if I have overcome already, but as I say, like this actually to have this like vision that to leave it this kind of like really even more in this military structure, because there is a like it's like kind of let's say this like this like being like look on yourself like a individual. It's kind of
the death.
You cannot. Of course you are like many people and 1,000 friends, and everybody has needs, and everybody has also like the way to live life. So you cannot like, you have to see this like a broader way of understanding things and living also. So I think it was one thing. And I mean, it's more connected with this like customs and interaction. I think it was the most difficulty which I like went through in the beginning. I don't know, maybe still I think, I mean, it will never finish. I think that of course we all grew up in different like let's say circumstances. We have all our rules, we have all our history, all our like culture, like characteristic, which of course we need to also be aware like we cannot also come here that and say now I will like totally delete my personality, and I will be like I will live like the Kurdish woman. No, it's also not possible. I think it's really important, kind of this process that you are realizing like who you are, where you're coming from, what is wrong, also what is actually, for example, shocking, or where is this, like, for example, thing which you should overcome to be able to somehow like live in the daily life, like in the like more like harmonic way. And sometimes, so I think it's a process which is still going on, definitely.
Good, that's really interesting. I think that's really nice, how do you say, deep insights. And yeah, I think it's really interesting for our listeners. Well then, as usual, like for the end of our episode, we would ask you if there's anything else, like apart from what we've been discussing, that you would like to share, or I don't know, something specific you want to tell our listeners, or just use the chance to speak to the world.
Yes, for sure I will take this opportunity to speak to the world and everybody who can listen us. So yes, definitely I would like to kind of make a call like for everybody who can like hear our voices from Rojava, for definitely like in the first time to somehow to get involved in, not only I would say like in YPJ or like in Women Defender Army, but in whole like Rojava revolution. I think it's really important, and it's necessary like to give it like really historical meaning what we are living now, like what we are living here, because it's really like a historical moment. I think it's in many different levels. So I would like call to like rise more interest and to investigate more, and to like kind of let's say to go deeper also, for example, to the like the knowledge about the Democratic Confederation, about the philosophy of Abdullah Öcalan, also about the situation of Abdullah Öcalan, like to realize that we have like a person who is like creating very progressive and very like liberating, let's say, philosophy and strategy, and also like ideology, and let's say also alternative for like how we can actually newly and like build things, and how we can organize each other. And of course for the, let's say, for the system and for the hegemonies, like it's necessary to have this person like already 23 years under the, let's say, like close in the like solitary confinement. So I think it's really important fact which we need to consider, and it should also like, let's say, rise our attention to it, like why it's so important that this, for example, for capitalism and for the system which we are living, for the state, why it's so important that this should be silenced, that we should more get involved. Then I think one of the other things I think it's which I learn here, and which is I think very important for let's say for any woman or any like anybody who like struggle for freedom or for liberation or for like more just society, or like to want organize themselves. So I think it's really important to, let's say, become clear in our aims. It's something what I really learned here, like with the movement here, with also being part of like YPJ, that it's really important that we put our aims into to really build something, to really create something, not only like give a response to what's happening around us, but have like a focus to organize in this like creative way, to like build more also like alternative institutions, and build also more unities. I think something which I also learn here, and which it's very valuable and important experience for anybody. I think that we need more, like as a people who struggle for the freedom, we need more unity also in like, let's say, in somehow European context. So like that the small, let's say, ideological or like organizational differences shouldn't be an obstacle, that we like actually build something more structural, more like bigger, which can like help to let's say to to arrive to our aims. Like, so this is would be, and of course, like to come to Rojava to experience yourself in your own like experience. Of course, it's also like to come to join YPJ and to live it also with us. I would also invite all our listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us and for this call at the end. Of course, everybody who's listening, really come and join, come to Rojava, and don't let excuses stop you, because you can always find new excuses. And maybe one last thought for the end. Also, go really deep into, at least maybe this is just for me, but I think more people can connect to it, the association that I used to have when I heard the word military, because what I used to think of was always a state military. I never thought of military as something else than a state military. And of course, state military has a very strong ideology. Learning how to differentiate between different ideologies and learning how to see what the ideology of the military structures here in Rojava of YPJ and YPG is based on, and to see it completely different, and at the end you see the only thing that is actually in common is the word military and nothing else, because the ideology is so different behind it. Thank you so much for joining us. It was really, really interesting to talk with you, for both of us and for all the listeners. I think we really can understand more now about YPJ and not seeing it in this abstract way of looking at the pictures of women carrying weapons, but really seeing how much it's all based on really deep ideology and how much more there is to it than just having a weapon, but so much work, so much structures, so much different work on yourself, on your personality, on community, on growing together. So yes, thank you for listening, and you will hear from us very soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.